You know how everyone says you gotta be first to win? If you didn't think of it first, what's the point? Well, here's the problem with that. The biggest companies in tech weren't first. Google wasn't the first search engine. Alta Vista, Lycos, Yahoo were all there before. Facebook wasn't even the first social network. Friendster and MySpace came years earlier. The iPhone wasn't the first smartphone. Nokia, BlackBerry, and Palm had been at it for years. And all these companies we think of as pioneers were all second movers. And it's all backed up by a lot of data. One study found that the first movers have a 47% failure rate, while fast followers fail only 8% of the time. First movers capture about 10% market share on average, while early followers who become market leaders capture about 28%. Only 11% of the first movers actually end up leading their industry. So what happened to the real first movers? Friendster was the first major social network. They had explosive growth, top investors, and Google offered to buy them as well, and they said no. A few years later, they were gone. MySpace pioneered social networking and became huge. Then Facebook showed up with a cleaner design, learned from MySpace's mistakes, and took over. Netscape had over 90% of the browser market in the mid-90s. They basically were the internet. Now they don't exist. And then there's TiVo. TiVo invented the DVR. TiVoing became a verb. They were so dominant that their name became the category. And in 2025, they announced they were exiting the hardware business entirely. Cable companies just bundled DVR into their boxes. Streaming made recording feel outdated, and TiVo couldn't adapt. So why do second movers keep winning? Because first movers have to do the hardest work. They prove the concept is possible. They make the mistakes. They educate the market. They build infrastructure from scratch. And then someone else comes in, watches what went wrong, and then does it better. Google watched search engines struggle to monetize and built a search advertising model. Facebook saw MySpace's cluttered interface and privacy issues and built something cleaner. Apple watched BlackBerry users struggle with their tiny keyboards and web browsing and built a touchscreen that actually worked. Second movers get to skip the trial and error. The market is already proven. The technology has improved. The customer is already educated. They just have to execute better. So, does being first mean anything at all? Maybe it's less about who does it first and more about who learns fastest. The first mover proves it can be done. The second mover proves how it should be done. And there's something kind of unfair about that. The pioneers do the hard work and someone else gets the reward. I don't know if that's fair, but it seems to be how it works. The first mover opens the door and the second mover walks through it.